In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Chapter 26. And it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples, You know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. So in 2 days' time, the feast of the Passover will transpire. I believe the Passover is an annual celebration of the Jews to celebrate their exile, wherein they came out of exile from Egypt. And that gets celebrated as a Passover, with unleavened bread to eat. And the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. And the Son of Man too, at that time, after the Passover meal is over, he would be betrayed to be crucified. And you know it. Then assembled together the chief priest and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas. Caiaphas was the high priest at that time. And then during this time, at this time, the chief priest, the main priest, and the scribes and the elders of the people gathered together unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him. In a subtle way, they shall capture him and then kill him. That was their intention. But they said, not on the feast day. We can't do it on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people, because the people on the feast day who are coming to the temple can create an uproar. So let us not do it on the feast day. Then, now when Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon, at that time, Jesus was there in the house of Bethany, in a house in Bethany, in a little town called Bethany, in the home of Simon. And as he was seated there, as Jesus was seated there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meal. So out of nowhere appeared a woman with an alabaster box, with an alabaster box of very precious ointment. There are certain ointments which are very precious, from very rare and very rare herbs which have got great healing power. So this woman brought that oil. She knew what she was doing, and poured it on his head as he sat. She poured it on his head, just like that. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation. A woman comes and pours oil on his head. What is this? Saying, to what purpose is this waste? To what purpose is she doing? It's a great waste. Because the oil is so precious. That particular oil was so precious. And here the woman cometh and poured it on his person. For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. So this ointment could have been sold and the money given to the poor. So this was a mysterious woman. In this Matthew, it refers to as an unknown mysterious woman. Perhaps this mysterious woman, who it was, knew of the manner of Jesus' death. That is why she came with that oil and poured it on his person for a purpose. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, so when he understood the murmuring of his disciples, that the oil is being unnecessarily poured on Jesus, for what use, or what purpose? Why trouble you the woman? For she had wrought a good work upon me. She has done this. She had wrought a good work upon me. For what purpose? To ease his pain. To ease his pain. Because when Jesus gets crucified or is being crucified, it is a very painful process. Very painful process. And the crucifixion takes a long time. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. The crucifixion takes a long time to die. So when you are crucified, it's a slow death. It takes more than one day for a person to pass away. So it's a very slow process. And painful too. So to ease that pain, this woman, she had already foreknown the manner of Jesus' death, and to ease his pain, she had poured it on him. So because that was a very special oil, which would benumb part of the pain. Then Jesus says, because they were all grumbling, for you have the poor always with you, but me you have not always. You have always the poor. You can save and give to the poor and the needy, but you don't have me always. Just for another few days, that's about 2 more days So you have the poor always with you, but me you have not always. For in that she had poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. See? The woman deliberately poured this oil on him, on my body, and she did it for my burial. For she knew that Jesus would be buried in the tomb, and therefore this oil was poured upon him to preserve the body and the pain, to preserve it. So and the woman knew it. Verily I say unto you, whosoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also that this woman hath done be told for a memorial for her. So wherever in the whole world this gospel be preached and taught, then as a memorial to this woman, everlasting memorial, it shall be mentioned. What this woman had done. She had wrought a great deed indeed, done a great deed. And in memory of her, it shall be told to the whole world. Then one of the 12, 14, then one of the 12 called Judas Iscariot, went unto the chief priest. Then one of the 12 quietly got up to do his dirty work or questionable work, and said unto them, and told the chief priest, "What will you give me? What will you give me? And I will deliver him unto you. I will deliver him unto you." And they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver. So they bargained with him for 30 pieces of silver, for which amount he would betray Jesus. And from that time, he sought an opportunity to betray him. To betray. He was looking for an opportunity. When? Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, their disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, "Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? Where do you wish that we should prepare the Passover to be celebrated?" To eat the Passover. And he said, and Jesus said, "Go into the city to such a man, to a particular person, and say unto him and tell him, the Master saith, my time is at hand, my time is at hand." So that person also must have been a very noble soul with certain force, insight into matters. So therefore, Jesus said, "Go to that man's house and tell him, my time is at hand. My time is at hand," which means that that man would understand that. "I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples." So I will keep my Passover in his house with his disciples, and so it was prepared. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, told them to do, and they made ready the Passover. Now when the even means when the evening was come, he sat down with the 12. He sat down for Passover with the 12. And as they did eat, he said, as they were eating, having their Passover meal, all the 12 seated, "Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. One of you, one amongst you, will betray me." And they were exceedingly sorrowful. Oh my gosh, one of them is going to betray, and who is that one? And began every one of them to say unto him, "Lord, is it I?" So everyone began asking him, "Is it me? Is it me? Is it me?" And he answered and said, "He that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me." He who dippeth his hand, his hand with me in the dish, in the food, the same shall betray me. That is why there is a popular expression in India, Namakarami. That means the person who eats with you and eats of your meal is now betraying you. Is now betraying you. So that's a popular expression which is said in India when somebody betrays you, though he has been with you all through and has eaten your meals and partaken of your meals. So here too also, he that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him. The Son of Man. But remember this, goeth as it is written of him. So as it has been written in the scriptures or mentioned in the scriptures. Because as far as Jesus is concerned, where he would be born was mentioned in the scriptures. Where he would be born, how he would be born, where he would be born, and how he would end his life. All three were foretold in the scriptures. So therefore he says, the Son of Man goeth, he will go his way as it is written of him, as it has been forementioned in the scriptures. But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. But woe unto man, terrible is that which would befall that man who has so betrayed the Son of Man. So always in all parts of the world, it's a convention that whoever betrays you undergoes severe punishment. Will undergo. So here also the man betrays. It had been good for that man if he had not even been born. It would have been better if this man had not been born at all. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? And he said unto him, well, he doesn't tell you. Well, you say it. Thou sayest it. Now, as they were eating the Passover, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Now, as far as the Passover meal is concerned, Jesus, we'll come to this. Jesus, with his 12 disciples, had the Last Supper. They were all gathered together and were partaking of the last meal, the Last Supper. What does it mean and signify? They were gathered together. They were gathered together, the 12 disciples. The 12 disciples is very significant, who are partaking of the Last Supper. Even the Last Supper has got a mystical meaning attached to it. The 12 disciples signify the 12 senses, the 12 sense organs that you have. and they were gathered together. So you gather your 12 senses and focus yourself upon the Last Supper. The Last Supper is the supper that which each person has. The spiritual supper. The Last Supper is a spiritual supper. That's what it signifies. Wherein the 12 disciples who symbolically represent the 12 senses, and they were gathered together, which means that indrawn, you are indrawn, not outbound with your senses, but indrawn. The sense 12 with indrawn, and then having indrawn them, they are partaking of the Last Supper. Partaking. That means they have now got into God awareness, or the process of being God aware is to be in a contemplative or meditative state, wherein God awareness is maintained. So they are focused. All the 12 senses, with having withdrawn them, indrawn them, and they are focused upon the last meal, the supper. So this Last Supper signifies the state of spiritual awareness which is accomplished in a meditative state, being God aware. So this Last Supper is the beginning of many future suppers. It's the first supper. The Last Supper is the first supper, which signifies that henceforth all of the 12 disciples will have to frequently and constantly partake of this supper, which is the first supper, is the beginning of many suppers. So this is what it symbolizes, the Last Supper, which is very significant in its terminology. So the 12 senses have got plugged. So when it got plugged, it got indrawn. So that is why the 12 disciples were totally focused. 12, they were focused on the Last Supper. So this is what this Last Supper symbolically indicates. The supper which everyone will have to undertake in life.
It is before the enlightenment.
Before enlightenment.
The Last Supper is the employing of the senses, the focus at the point of enlightenment.
Oh, not at the point. Well before, everyone will have to everyone will have to partake of this Last Supper, which will be the first supper, and this first supper will have to be repeatedly gone through by the first supper will be the repeat of many suppers, until enlightenment transpires. So the Last Supper is the first supper, ongoing first supper, wherein supper after supper have to be, wherein they become God aware and God focused. Until when? Until they get enlightened. So, it is metaphorically and symbolically mentioned in this manner the significance of this Last Supper. And what is this Last Supper? What is this? And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples. So Jesus took the bread and blessed it and brake it and broke it and gave it to the disciples, and said, "Take, eat, this is my body, this is my body." Now what does that mean? This bread. Now let's get back to chapter 4, wherein the devil, when Jesus was taken up the mountain, the Satan within man tempted Jesus and said, "Command that these stones be made bread." Now we'll connect it up. But he answered and said, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God." So, this bread that he broke and gave it to his disciples, so he said, "Take, eat, this is my body." So this is my body means this bread is my body. So body here signifies that this bread is but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. That every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. So that means the word here, the bread, which is my body, what it means is all the teachings that I have given you, the sayings and the greetings, that is the bread of life. Because it is said, he says, man does not live by bread alone, but by the words. But by the words, which have been the teachings. But by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God, what is that which has proceeded out of the mouth of God? The Old Testament and the New Testament. In the New Testament, the 4 Gospels, which were the sayings and the teachings of Jesus. So you have to now live by them, understand and live by the teachings of God. This is the word of God. So you have got to now listen to this, understand this teachings of mine and eat it. And this is what he mentions as my body. This is my body. So this is my flesh, he says later at another place. This is my flesh, eat it. So this is what you have to eat. That is to say, my words. So my words have to be eaten by, understood and lived by you. Now then, this is the first one. Then the second is, and he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink you all of it." So the second thing that he did was he took the cup, the wine, he took it, in which wine was, and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink it, drink all of you of it. Drink, all of you drink. For this is my blood." So symbolically he's saying, this is my blood of the New Testament, blood of the New Testament. So what does he mean by the word blood of the New Testament? So first, this is my body. So this is my body. Take, eat. This is my body, my flesh. That means they are the words, the teachings contained in the New Testament. The teachings contained in the New Testament is the bread. Right? And then he says, drink all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament. This is my blood of the New Testament. Now, what is the relation between the bread and the blood? When you eat the bread, physical bread, it in turn becomes the blood in you. That means it is the essence. It is the essence. The blood is the essence of the bread that you have partaken. Now, what is the essence of the teaching that has been given to you, that has been taught and mentioned in the New Testament as the words of Jesus, which is the bread, which is symbolic, which represents here as the bread, or represented by the bread, the teachings, and what is the essence of his teachings? Tell me. That's right. The essence of the teaching is, which Jesus had mentioned earlier, you are gods. And to be, therefore, to be aware of your God nature. Oh Father, make them one as we are one. So they are one with us. If they are one with us, just as I am in you and you are in me and we are one, so also all these people, they are one with us. So they are one, as they are one with us. So therefore, but they know not that they are one with us. And he says, Father, make them one with us. But in order for the Father to make them one with us, they have to maintain the awareness of their God nature, of their God being. Because they are, so the maintenance of this, maintaining or maintenance of this God awareness is the blood. Because that is the essence of the teachings. Blood is the essence of the food that you intake of the bread. So therefore the essence of the New Testament, the total essence of the New Testament is that God and I are one. The God is in me, and I am in God, and God and I are one. This is the essence of the whole teaching. So therefore, once you have understood this, you have to become aware of it. Becoming aware of it. This is the blood of the New Testament. This is what it signifies. Which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Which is shed. Shed means which is given up. Which is given for many for the remission of sins. Now all this is metaphorically and symbolically understood. It's not to be taken literally. If you take it literally, the whole thing gets messed up. But it is to be understood. There is a metaphorical meaning behind it. And it is not to be understood literally. Therefore, this is my blood of the New Testament, which is the essence of the understanding, which is given for many for the remission of sins. So when you too maintain this, when you drink this, the essence of this knowledge, maintain this God awareness, the awareness that I am. You make, then I am that, I am that, that I am, that I am. that divine am I. This is that awareness. Because that is the name of God. In the Old Testament it was given to Jesus. It was given to Moses by God at the burning bush. And when Moses asked, what is your name? So God said, I am. Who I am. Who I am. That I am. So here also each individual should have the wisdom, the good sense and the intelligence to understand. So once a person has understood this, he has understood the essence of human existence. Why you are here. You are here in order to experience this state. That is the main purpose of creation and of your life too. Why you have come here on planet Earth only to realize your Godhood or God nature. So in order to accomplish that, you have to maintain your awareness. You have to maintain this awareness. So, and when you do that, which is when you maintain this awareness, the remission of sins transpires. The remission of sins, because when you are aware, what has happened to you? You are at 1 month. When you are so aware, you are at one with God, or at 1 month. So when you are at 1 month, you are atoning. You are atoning for the sins. So the atonement of the sins is automatically taking place. So whenever you are in this state, simultaneously you are also atoning for your sins. Apart from the fact that you are also in unison, in one with your divine nature. So by being one with, being aware of your divine nature, you are in unison or in tune with your God nature. And in this process, atonement is also taking place, not only at 1 month, on one hand, and at that time, atonement is also transpiring simultaneously, and your sins, remission for your sins. The remissions of sins is also transpiring. So this is the meaning of this section. It's a very profound sense here, metaphorically and symbolically indicated in this section. Then, therefore, this remission of this sin, wherein you are at 1 month and atoning for your sin, automatically transpires by whenever you are God-centered. You are God-centered now. God-centered. You are centered in God. God-centered means you are centered in God. In a state of at 1 month, atonement, you are automatically centered in God. By this process, remission of sins is also transpiring automatically. So therefore, no one in the world need be afraid. He knows now, everyone knows however bad his sinful deeds were before, and acts and deeds, so long as he repents with all his heart, and then thereafter, having repented, repentance is always with the heart, and having repented with deep sorrow and anguish for the errors that one had gone through, and then you are in the state of at 1 month, wherein you are centered in God, then your remissions remissions of sins also take place simultaneously at the same time. So on one hand, you have become God aware, and on the other hand, remission of sins is also taking place. So it's a very benign, wonderful state. Just see how God has been so ingenious. On one hand, He shows you the way to salvation, and on the other hand, in order to attain salvation, He also shows you in the same spot how you can get cleared of your sins too. Then he continues and says in 29, but I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. But I say unto you, henceforth I will not partake of this. My work is accomplished, it's over. So that is why Jesus said, just at the time when He was at Calvary, being on the cross, He said, it's finished. He said, what is finished? My mission is finished. My mission is finished. What I had come to do, that's finished. That's over. So therefore, I will now, when you too arrive there, arrive at your God state, right? When you attain salvation, then at that time I'll be with you. I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom, when you also shall enter there subsequently. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. So all of them, the 12 disciples, they sang a hymn. They sing a benedictions, thanksgiving, they sang that, and they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then saith Jesus unto them, then Jesus said, all you shall be offended because of me this night. All of you shall be offended. Perhaps you may be a little sad because of me this night. Or all of you may take fright. May take fright because they all ran away. So, all of you shall be offended because of me this night, for it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. I will smite the shepherd. I will smite him. I will beat him and smite him perhaps and kill him too. And the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. And the sheep, you are the sheep of the flock. You 12 disciples will be scattered abroad. Not only you, all the others too. Many of them will be scattered all over. But after I am risen again, but once again, when I'll be risen in 3 days' time. I'll be risen. I will go before you into Galilee. But before, you will also disperse into Galilee. You will run away to Galilee. But I'll come there before you. Before you, I will be there. I'll go before you into Galilee. Peter answered. Once again, this guy Peter comes in. Peter answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended. No matter what, I will never be offended. Because of he always says this, because of his emotional attachment to Jesus. He always emotionally jumps without thinking. Without thinking, he says all the time. And here also he says, Peter answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet I will never be offended. I will never be. He's proclaiming his fortitude. And we know how well his fortitude was. So, Jesus said unto him, verily, verily, I tell you, my dear chap, I tell thee, that this night itself, before the cock crows, because early in the morning at dawn the cock crows, and before it crows 3 times, thou shalt deny me thrice. Before the cock crows, you will deny me not once but 3 times. 3 times. Peter said unto him, though I should die with thee, even if I die with you, yet I will not deny thee. But still I will not deny thee. But he was the first to deny. But I will not deny thee. Likewise also said all the disciples. Even all the disciples also said the same thing. But when they came to take Jesus, they all bolted. They all bolted or ran away. Then likewise also said all the disciples. Then cometh Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane. To a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, sit you here, while I go and pray yonder. You sit here, while I go a little further and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be 2 sons of Zebedee. So he took Peter, our good friend Peter he took, and also the 2 sons of Zebedee, to whom he had promised earlier. The mother came, they did not know what was going to happen to Zebedee too, because he took them also, because they are also going to have the same fate. They had agreed that they will drink of the same cup. All right, I'm going to drink of the cup, so you two also come along with me too. And they did not know that. The 2 chaps did not know they were also going to have the privilege of drink the same cup. So they also willingly went. Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee began to be sorrowful and very heavy. And he took them along with Peter, the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. And he began to be a little sorrowful and be heavy. He was heavy of heart. Jesus was a little heavy of heart. Then said he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful. My soul, I am feeling very sorrowful indeed. Because of what's going to happen. Of course, that can mean many things. That he was sorrowful perhaps for the fact that he's leaving all these people, his sheep, leaving his sheep untended, uncared for. Untended, uncared for, he may feel sorrowful. Or he may also feel sorrowful because of the impending great distress and pain which he would experience in the crucifixion, and subsequently how his disciples and followers will be scattered, persecuted. So these may be the reasons why Jesus perhaps is a little sorrowful, even unto death. So sorrowful even unto death. Tarry ye here, you wait here. He told the 3 of them, tarry you here and watch with me, but you watch with me. Keep watch, keep vigilance. And he went a little further. Jesus went a little further and fell on his face, and he bowed down and prayed, saying, so he fell on his face, and he's bowed down with face down, with bent face down, and bowed and saying, and he prayed and said, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. O Father, if it be possible, because let this cup pass from me, let me not drink this cup, this fate of which I have to go through, the fate of crucifixion, let me not go through. But nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. Nevertheless, whatever is to transpire is not as per my will, but as thy will. So in this also, he is indicating, giving a lesson to humanity by telling humanity that when humans are in pain and in difficulties, very often people lament. People lament, oh Father, have I to go through this crisis? Have I to go through these difficulties? Each man laments it, isn't it? Oh Father. So Jesus is also enacting the drama. He is enacting the drama, which every person in the world naturally goes through this lamentation. But then he says, nevertheless, it is not as I will, but as thou willest. As thou willest. So however difficult and unpleasant is the cup that each one in the world has to drink, which are the difficulties of life which a person has to endure while living. So he says, nevertheless, each person also, while lamenting to God, should acknowledge the fact that it is not eventually what will transpire is not my will but thy will, so I accept. So I accept. So this everyone should also similarly feel to himself, just as Jesus, because so this is an example. So it's rather intriguing. Even at this point, Jesus is giving an education to mankind, because every man is beset with this situation, in a crisis situation. Have I to go through this horrendous experience, bad experience, right? Which is inevitable. So therefore, Jesus is also voicing aloud the same feeling and sorrow and lamentation which each person in the world goes through. But nevertheless, he says, but it is not my will, but thy will. I accept it. So this is, so once you accept it, it eases your suffering. Eases the pain of your lamentation. Right? So here Jesus is giving you an education. But as thou wilt. And he cometh unto the disciples and findeth them asleep. And he finds them asleep. And saith unto Peter, what? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Peter had also fallen asleep. What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? At least for 1 hour? Now you couldn't watch with me. He had because it was night time, and he had also become droopy, drowsy, and slept. So then Jesus said, watch and pray. Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Watch and pray. We will come to this in the evening. Om Tat Sat.